I got this Indian FTR1200 Rally, and I'm going to be checking out the various construction details, and we'll see how this thing's made. On the left side, you've got your high and low. This is low beam. You flick it out. That's high beam. And if you pull it in, it flicks the high beam on and off, I guess, if you're trying to annoy somebody. This is the cruise control. It works real good. You push it in, and it turns it on. Then you can set and resume and all that. It's pretty neat. Here's your blinkers. And they're, what I really like about these are self-canceling. Because when you get old, you constantly leave your blinkers on. And then there's the horn. Let me see how loud the horn is. So the horn's pretty good. Okay, on the right grip, you've got that little toggler that toggles the pages on the speedometer. This is start and engine kill. Well, that's unusual. That's usually two separate functions. So one way it starts it and one way it kills. Got your brake reservoir, which is an interesting little clear plastic one. I kind of like it. You can really keep an eye on it, and when your fluid gets cloudy, got nice braided stainless lines going to the master cylinder. Master cylinder has a nice adjustment for free play, and it's an interesting thing that the piston is coming directly out. Normally the piston goes that way and it's got a little turn, but this is a really nice setup and a little bleeder on top, which is unusual. You don't usually get a bleeder on the master cylinder. This is electronic throttle to your computer. I kind of like that ride-by-wire, and it works real well. You don't get any jumpiness at all. It feels pretty good. On the left side, there's a little USB port. You've got a mechanical cable going to the clutch. There's the clutch cable right there. And that's a different setup on the Scout. I believe it's over on this side. The key is down under here. It's not real easy to get to, and you need the key to get in the gas tank. Looks like a plastic gas tank, which is really good. Any more of the alcohol in the fuel really corrodes. You've got all kind of pages, temperature, miles per gallon, fuel gauge. You know, just scroll through RPM and the voltage and the temperature. Okay, you got high beam, hazard, blinker, ABS, neutral, gas, low gas, the other blinker, check engine light. I don't know what that S is. I'm at the Love Shack secret headlight testing ground. This thing has an LED headlight. There, that's just the little glowing, like, it's just for looks, but that's actually brighter than my Husqvarna headlight right there. All right, now we're gonna hit the starter, and that'll make the headlight comes on automatically. Okay, now remember, the camera's gonna adjust the exposure so it looks a lot brighter than it does on film. This has got a real sharp cutoff. Can you see that cutoff? It's like a bar, and it's a real wide, I don't know, it goes out to about here and about there, and I'd say a good 100 feet ahead. It's a very nice headlight. And then high beam, there you can see, I don't know if you can see that stop sign lit up down there. That's a long ways away. This is a really good headlight. See, this outer rim is lit for your running lights, and the inner rim is the other thing. And it's got nice LED blinkers and everything. It's got really nice lighting. I like the lighting on this bike. Gauge is lit up nice. I took this rally down Kismet Road, and it goes from 445 to Altoona. And it's a pretty good road, but it's a lot of soft sand. Sand, you got two ways of doing sand. You either lower your air pressures and attack it and go fast, and you kind of float on top of the sand, and that really works great until you crash. Or you can slow down and paddle and maybe crash more, but at slower speeds. The rally did pretty good. I would take it on any off-road trail that didn't have a bunch of big rocks, because there's a lot of sensitive equipment up front. Under here, under the radiator, under the horn, you've got, I believe, a voltage regulator And this is a battery box here. I believe the battery's under here. Now, the only problem with this trellis frame, there's no down tubes. So it's all engine under here. If you're going off-roading, you really got to put a skid pan on this thing or you're going to break something. Here's a little tool. I don't know exactly what that does, but there's like a little Allen wrench stuck right here. Here's the filter, pretty well protected behind all this stuff, which is good. On the left front, there's a oil cooler. If you could pretty much go anywhere, but slowly, you understand this isn't a dirt bike. It's a street bike with knobby tires. The radiator's curved, kind of super bikey, and that gives room for the tire. This allows you more surface area. Here's the fan, and that'll kick on about 205 degrees. The coolant overflow bottle is on the left side, and there's a little window here where you can see the coolant level. The gas tank kind of goes under here, and underneath this, right pretty much directly under here, is the air box. But you got to take the seat off. You got to take all these screws out and a whole bunch of stuff. It's not that big a deal because you don't have to change the air cleaner that often. This looks like an air intake, like a snorkel. There's one on the left side, that probably goes to the air box, and there's one on the right side. The FTR Rally is chain drive, which is great. A lot of the Scouts and stuff and the big Indians are belt drive, which is okay. But I really like a chain better than a belt. The swing arm looks super heavy duty. You're not going to flex this swing arm. It's got, first of all, this is the size of a normal swing arm. Then it's got this cross brace that's welded down to the front. I mean, this swing arm's not going to move. I got to tell you, this thing is ugly as hell. This is the rear taillight hugger thing, and I guess it's compliant. First thing I do with this bike is take this off and come up with some way of mounting all this stuff up under here. The exhausts are nice and quiet, but you can still get a little sound out of them. There's a big muffler chamber on the very bottom of the rear underneath the swing arm, and this is what's doing a lot of the muffling here. If you got a slip on, it would slip on right here. You'd take this off and you'd keep these front headers, they're fine, and then you'd put your noisy exhaust that's going to make you obnoxious and all your neighbors will hate you. This is the tone ring for the ABS on the front wheel. Here's the sensor wire. Plastic fender with upside down forks with pretty good travel. Looks like 4 or 5 inches of travel. Big disc brakes. Brakes really work good. Kind of a knobby tire. The tires are Pirelli Scorpion Rally 120/70 R19 spoke type wheel. I really dig that on a dirt bike. It's kind of a neat 4-spoke pattern, and the spokes are huge. They're really heavy-duty spokes. It's a tube-type tire. The Rally has one shock. You can screw this up or down to make the rear end harder or softer. I only see that one adjustment for damping. But I hardly ever mess with that stuff anyway. This is an interesting, like an E-clip on the axle to keep the nut instead of a cotter pin. Big axle, big markings to line up your wheel in the swing arm. The rear tire is a 150/70 R18, so it's a 18 rear, 19 front. Pretty good sized knobs. Look at the nice little detail. The little bracket that holds the reservoir. Ankle guards so your ankle doesn't hit the, sometimes you could knock that thing off if you got a boot or something. One thing I really like is this huge oil window. Look at the size of that oil window. You can see it without having to crawl down there and stick your nose on it. Most of these oil windows are little tiny round things. Foot pegs are cast. And if you look, they're angled down because your feet angle down. This bike has passenger pegs here. The sturdy casting, it also holds the exhaust. This has kind of a trellis frame, and the engine is hung inside the frame. This makes it really easy to work on the engine. You put a floor jack on it, you loosen the bolts, and the engine drops out the bottom. I'm here with Taylor Young from Indian, and Taylor, you've kind of replaced AJ on the
Somewhat, yeah. So AJ and I work pretty close together. He was kind of more on the product side. I oversee all of our event activations and owner engagement and owner loyalty and things like that. But I know enough to be dangerous on the bikes.
All right. Well, thanks for loaning me this bike.
No
First
problem.
of all, yeah. I got it a little dirty. I took it out some trails.
Yeah. Say a prayer for a few bugs up there too. Looks like.
I'm looking on this thing, and is there anything Scout left on it?
The Indian logo on the tank is probably the only similarity from the Scout to the FTR.
It looks like a different engine.
Totally different engine, totally new platform. So this is kind of our standard segment bike, kind of this American sort of sport bike cruiser. This particular one is the rally model of the FTR. So we launched this one just a couple months ago, actually.
Would like the bolts fit in it, Scout?
You know, they don't pay me to know those. I'm sure there's a few that would.
What do these things cost?
So there's kind of three platforms of your FTR. The entry model is at 12. The rally model is at 13.5, and then the S model, which has all the upgraded electronics and the ride modes and things like that's right around 14.5.
And are they all about the same horsepower?
Yeah, all have the same 123 horsepower liquid cooled engine as you see here. The only difference on the S model is you have your ability to change ride modes and some of the electronics.
This doesn't have ride.
No, it doesn't, but as you can tell, it's a rocket ship.
Oh yeah. Hey, is there a way to shut the ABS off, or is it on all the time?
You can shut the ABS off on the S model, not on these ones.
Because in the dirt, the front seemed to work okay with the ABS.
Yeah.
Because you don't got much grip.
Yep.
But the back, man, I hit the back and it would just roll off.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
What's this thing weigh?
Right around 500 pounds. It's just shy of 500 pounds.
Well, that's not too bad for compared to like these big ATV bikes they got.
Yeah, no. It's very approachable, and I mean, not everybody's going to take them off-road. Of course, it's off-road capable. Most of the riding is kind of in these urban sort of environments that we're seeing. But
have you got any accessories yet, or is it still too new?
a lot of them. Yeah. We have some touring accessories. We have bag options. We have
I'd like
options.
to see. I'd like to see like for bag.
We got one over there. I'll show you when we're done here.
I'll go take a
you can
picture
do
of it.
exhaust, high mount, low mount. So there's a handful of things.
You got a high mount exhaust?
We do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
So listen, AJ and the guy before him, Panda, they always kind of bought me lunch. Have you had breakfast yet?
Wow. Yeah, I've already eaten breakfast. Sorry.
So there's no.
No. I thought you were going to buy me lunch because I let you borrow the bike. I thought that's how that worked.
Things are going downhill, man. I'm going back. This tank bag is an Indian accessory, and it clips on the gas tank instead of magnetically sticks. And this is the Indian accessory saddle bag. It's only on the left side because you got all this exhaust on the right side.
This has got the high mount Akrapovic exhaust on it.
Yeah, I like that. That looks cool. Here's the Indian accessory rack. No need to reinvent the wheel. It bolts onto those handrails. Well, I've had a lot of fun on the Indian Rally. I've done some dirt roads, maybe 20-30 miles of dirt roads, and then maybe 250 miles of pavement, and I'm getting around 40 miles to a gallon. This is a really nice bike. This is my favorite Indian. If you said you can have any Indian you want, I would get this one. The only changes I would do is I would put some kind of rack or fender on the back so I could carry stuff. You know, I need my patch kit, my tools, my water, my food, all that kind of stuff. And I think I would put like a tank bag or something. If you're like me, you like kind of a flat track style, you can still go off-road a little bit. It's really comfortable on the road for me. You'll like this bike.